Welcome back onto the next edition of Up. My name is Brad Nadalt. This is a podcast about the Comrades Marathon, and we are privileged and excited to welcome another special guest on to the show today as we head towards Comrades 2026. She ran her very first Comrades in 2025, the down run, in a very respectable 10:47 on debut, which is pretty impressive. There's a cool story about that as well, which I'm sure we'll get into, but it's an absolute pleasure to welcome onto the podcast today, Shaina-Rae Bauwens. Shaina, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
No, it's so cool. Shaina-Rae, you just so that people who don't know you, you're fairly well known in the land of Comrades in KZN because you work for East Coast Radio, one of probably the biggest regional radio station in KwaZulu-Natal. And you are born and bred KwaZulu-Natal. Tell us a little bit about your background, sort of work-wise. What do you do? So if people don't know you, give us your elevator pitch.
Absolutely. So I'm born and bred in KZN. I've been living here my whole life. So I am the biggest fan of KZN. And my husband and I own a coffee shop here in Glen Ashley as well as in Umhlanga. And so that is what I do pretty much full time. And then 2 years ago, radio found me in a very organic way, and it was beautiful. And so I joined East Coast Radio 2 years ago, and I do Saturdays and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. So that keeps me busy on my weekends. I don't have kids, so I can work as hard as I want. And that's basically me. I'm a wife, a daughter. My best title is an auntie. I have a niece and a nephew, and they are my biggest fans, and I'm their biggest fan. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. We're going to test your KZN-ness. Say both as hill for me.
What? Both as hill?
No,
Definitely both as hill.
Both as whole. And then you've got to say fish. We're going fishing. It's with a U. It's not with an I.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Fish.
Fish. Yeah, exactly. No, just wanted to make sure that you are definitely from KZN, which is brilliant. And tell me a little bit about running. How did you get into running? Have you been a lifelong runner? And then we'll get into why Comrades in just a moment.
No, so I would say about 5 years. So my mom is a runner. She's done Comrades twice. She did it back to back, and she's always tried to get me into running. And about 5 years ago, I couldn't even run 500 meters. Running the promenade, there would just be colorful language coming out of my mouth all the time. I couldn't do it. I hated it. And then I started running around 3 to 5 Ks just because I was trying to get my discovery points and, just trying to move my body. And then I got involved with Crusaders Running Club. They come to my coffee shop all the time, and I got friendly with the guys there, and they were like, no, come run with us. I was like, I don't know, I'm not a runner, Then you start running, you start doing regions on a Tuesday and a Friday, and then they were like, oh, we're doing PDAC. And back then I was like, okay, well, I don't know what that is, but I'm in. Next thing I know, I'd entered a 25-kilometer race. That was my first, kind of long distance run at the time. And and that was, I would say, 3.5 years ago. And then it just snowballed from there.
I love it. And I mentioned at the start, you ran a 10:47 Comrades this year on debut. And there's a cool connection between that time and your mom's Comrades.
Absolutely wild. So I genuinely thought that my mom had run a 10:30 or a sub 10:30. And when I was coming down Fields Hill, someone said to me, you're going to get a sub 11. And I was like, that's never going to happen. I am gunning for an 11:59. That was my goal, 11:59. And then when I realized I was going to get a sub 11, I was like, that is out of this world, because I just wanted to finish. So when I crossed the finish line at 10:47, it's still, I haven't really comprehended, what went on. And then on the Monday after Comrades, my mom phoned me and she was almost in tears. And she was like, you will never believe what my time was for her first Comrades. And it was a 10:47. And it's just like the significance. It's unbelievable.
It is so cool. What a very cool coincidence and a cool story as well. So is the pressure now on that you have to go back and do your back-to-back? And if so, is the pressure on to run the same or better time?
So initially, I was convinced I was a one and done. I was like, I don't need to do the back-to-back thing. I've proved myself. I can do it. I just wanted to mentally say, okay, I've done the Comrades. The bug has bitten though, and I think I might be back for more next year. And everyone has said, but then again, you can't really listen to what people say, because so many people said to me this year, you undertrained, maybe don't do Comrades. You need to do close to 1,000 kilometers. I had done 650. So everyone's saying the up run's easier, but I think I really enjoyed the down run. So I feel like I've set the bar high. So if I do it next year, I don't know how it's going to go, but I really would love to experience the up run because I feel like I've got to tick both boxes.
Yeah, I think you're starting to realize that Comrades is a cult, and this is how they suck you into doing more than
Well, you do one, and then you do 2, and then you're halfway to 10.
Exactly it. That's Comrades math there. You've got it. You definitely have been sucked into this culture. You're even talking the lingo, Shaina-Rae. That's unfortunate for you, but you are in this thing now. Tell us a little bit about why Comrades. Obviously, your mom had run it. Was that the reason you wanted to do it? Or I mean, being in KZN, obviously, you've been around. The race is like that time of the year. Everybody in KZN knows, and not just KZN, South Africa knows Comrades is happening. But why Comrades for you?
Yeah, I think there's many aspects. The most like surface level one is obviously if you're a runner in KZN. In fact, South Africa, like you said, every time you do a marathon or something, someone will be like, "Okay, Comrades, when are you doing it?" So an aspect was maybe just to say, "Okay, cool, I've done it." But then more of a deeper meaning. Obviously, my mom had done it. She had done her back to back, and my mom ran the Comrades for her sister who passed away in 2015. So I then took it on, and I was like, "Okay, you know what? If my aunt was here, if she was around, she would be running Comrades." And we sadly lost her. So I was like, let me take on the journey. And my mom can't run anymore either. She's had her own cancer journey. So I was like, you know what, for the people who can't run, let me do it and kind of continue the legacy for my aunt and for my mom.
All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so cool. Tell me a little bit about now that you've done it. Obviously, you had an idea in your head of what Comrades was going to be like. Now that you've done it, how do those two pictures compare?
I think the fear of the unknown was massive. Everyone, like I said earlier, everyone's got their own opinion about Comrades. And they're like, oh, you must do this. You mustn't do that. You can't take painkillers. You have to take this. You must eat that. And it's, everyone gives their advice. But until you go out and you tackle the day, you don't know how it's going to go. I mean, I got a nerve pinch 18 Ks in and I was like, oh no, I'm done. So then I did pop painkillers and I was fine. So I think I expected worse because I expected it to be the worst day of my life, but it was actually the best because the people on the side of the road and, just the support and like there wasn't one section of that race that I thought, oh man, what am I doing? This is rubbish. I loved every second of it. So yeah, I'm scared that I've set the bar high and that I've loved it so much that it can't get better.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm interested to dig a little bit into your training because you're right. People throw numbers around of what you should, and I put should in inverted commas, what you should do for Comrades, and everyone's individual. Like I know for me personally that if I try and hit that like 1,200, 1,500K mark, I will not make it to Comrades because I will be injured. It's as simple as that. And for you, obviously, you said 650 in your first year. That, from what we sort of advocate, is probably slightly on the low side. But we always say it's better to be underdone than overdone, and get there injury free, and make sure that you do that. From a training perspective, what was the reason for doing 650? Was it just that running a business, working weekends? What was the story there?
It wasn't by choice. So I was in Marathon Fit in November last year. So I qualified at Kaapsehoop in Nelspruit. So I was in a really good space in November, December. And then I ended up in hospital on New Year's Eve. I had an emergency surgery. So that set me back. I could only start training in March. So when I had the surgery, I was like, okay, there goes Comrades. I definitely won't be able to do it. And then my running coach said to me, okay, well, listen, just get back on the bandwagon, just run, see how you feel, and then let's take it day by day. And I just said to him, I'm just going to run. I'm going to do my long runs on the weekend. And if at any stage you look at my running and you say, okay, Shaina, I don't think this is possible, tell me, we'll pull the plug. I could do it next year. And I just continued running. I did my long runs. I did the route tester. I had the best route tester. It was amazing. And so I think just then mentally after doing that route tester, I was like, okay, you know what? This is achievable. And so, yeah, I definitely would have liked to have trained more, I think, and also in the gym. I think it would have benefited me. But yeah, I'm young. That was my advantage. And maybe being slightly undertrained allowed me to be injury free, which is a big one. So it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the injury free is massive, and I think a lot I think for me, I can take a lot out of that. That I think often people sort of, they'll run a marathon in October, November, whether it's Kaapsehoop or Cape Town Marathon, whatever, and then they'll keep pushing through December, keep pushing through January, February, so that by the time when actual peak Comrades training comes in March, they are either knackered or they just mentally fatigued, where they're just tired about building towards this race. And even though it was circumstances that were sort of out of your control and forced you to take a bit of a break early in the new year, you came into that peak training fresh and mentally fresh. So it wasn't that it was like going when things start getting tough in Comrades training, you go, you know what, I've had enough of this. I don't want to do this anymore. So that probably played into your favor as well, which was pretty good. Advice for somebody who's possibly listening to this thinking, you know what, 2026 is my year. I want to run this race. What advice would you give to the newbies out there? If you're over 50 and want to recover from sessions faster, run pain and injury-free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join Lindsay and I for our upcoming Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. In it, we'll show you how we helped a 70-year-old run a 47-minute, 18-second 10K and how you can take those exact same principles and apply them in your training. Simply scan the QR code that's on screen right now or click on the link in the description below to save your seat in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
Go for it. Grab the bull by the horns and do it. You will get to a stage, especially when you are doing back-to-back Saturday, Sunday long runs and you are out there doing 40Ks and you're thinking, what on earth have I done? This is so silly. I could be relaxing and sleeping in. You will have those moments. I had them countless times. The doubt sets in. You're going to go, I'm undertrained, I'm overtrained, I'm this, I'm that. There's always going to be a reason why you shouldn't do it, but go for it. Do it. It will be, everyone said to me, it's going to be the best day of your life and it will change your life. And it really, besides my wedding day and like my niece and nephew being born, it was the best day ever. And just being on that road with all that support and everyone around you, it's like South African vibes on another level. It's really, really special.
So, and I wanted to ask you, like, straight afterwards, and I heard the interview that you did with, I think it was with Darren and Carmen on East Coast.
Yes.
I think it might have even been the day or two after Comrades. And often when you, straight after Comrades, particularly your first one, you're still on this high, the endorphins are still sort of, and it's difficult. You haven't really processed everything that you've done. Like, I mean, if you, now that the dust has settled and life's back to normal and you're back to work and everything's normal, when you actually sit down and think about what you've achieved, like tell me a little bit about like how that makes you feel and how it makes you feel approaching other areas of your life, like other things that you do.
I think it definitely, so for me, obviously Comrades was it's a very physical thing. You have to do the training, you have to have the time on your legs, and you've got to be physically ready for the day. But for me, it was like 100% a mental thing. I needed to prove to myself that when I put my mind to something, I can do it. And I'm all about getting out of my comfort zone. So last year I jumped out of an airplane, which I said I would never do because I'm so scared of heights, but I did it and I, crossed that fear. And so I think just constantly pushing myself to do things that I think I'm not capable of doing just gives me this mindset of like, actually, you know what, Shayna, I'm so proud of you. And you are capable of so much more than you think. If you put your mind to something, you can do it. And also just the support from your friends and your family and the messages that you receive. And it really is a big confidence booster. It makes you feel really good about yourself. And it makes me think, okay, cool. If I can do Comrades, then I can do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, I mean, for me, I just love the fact of doing hard things. Like, I mean, you talk about going out of your comfort zone. That's one of the things, but also proving to yourself that you can do hard things. I think I don't want to play it down, but I think our lives in 2025, as we're recording this, is a lot easier. There's a lot more conveniences than what sort of maybe our parents and our grandparents had. And I don't want to say that's made us soft, but we're not forced to do hard things. Whereas doing something like Comrades, not that we're being forced to do it, it gives us the opportunity to do hard things. And you learn, I always joke that I like hanging out in dark places because I think you learn a lot about yourself in those dark places.
Yes, absolutely. And when you're doing a 56-kilometer route test, there's a lot of thinking that goes on there.
Tell me, I mean, obviously with the pinched nerve on Comrades race day, tell me about some of the dark patches you went through on race day, and how did you get through them? Like, what were some of the tips and tricks you can give us to get through those dark patches on race day?
So the dark patch was 18 Ks in. I had a pinched nerve in my glute, and that, I mean, every step you take, there's nothing you can do to get rid of that. And in my mind, I was going, okay, everyone said you can't take painkillers, so what are you going to do? But I listened to my body. I was like, okay, I know that I need a painkiller because this is not going to sort itself out. I popped the Gen pain, and I just kept saying to myself, Shayna, you can do hard things, you can do hard things. And then my entire family all had shirts saying vitality, mobility, because that was like my aunt's slogan when she used to run. And whenever I was feeling like, yo, okay, this is tough, I would just go, okay, vitality, mobility, vitality, mobility. And also knowing that in a couple kilometers, I'm going to see someone I know, I'm going to see a family member, I'm going to see my brother, my sister, my husband. It makes it so much better knowing, okay, cool, like just put your head down, just get up that hill. And when you're up that hill, you're going to see someone and they're going to encourage you and give you a big hug. And yeah, it's just a day. You will get through this.
How much does home ground advantage play into a race like Comrades?
Massive, 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 massive. And just so obviously the beginning half was amazing. The people in Maritzburg were incredible. But as soon as you hit kind of, Kersney down, and every 5 minutes, not even every 2 minutes, you're seeing someone that knows you. I mean, before that, you got your name on, so everyone's screaming for you anyway. But like just seeing familiar faces and saying, oh, okay, there's so and so from there, and there's that person, and there's my boss from East Coast Radio, and just seeing all the familiar faces of like people that are in your community, it's massive. It's a game changer.
Yeah, and the reason I ask it is because I generally never used to do races close to home. And obviously now living in Cape Town, there are lots of great races. And I think specifically on Two Oceans, like I get to run part of the Two Oceans route like practically every single weekend. And I ran my first Two Oceans in the build up to this one. And it was just so cool knowing the route and being familiar with that sort of thing. So yeah, I was keen to get someone else's sort of take on that. As far as Comrades race day itself goes, what was your favorite part of the day? Like, what do you think back now and go, geez, that was absolutely amazing?
It has to be the start. Everyone had always warned me, like, okay, just, pack some tissues. You're going to be emotional. But I also probably shouldn't say this because my mom wasn't allowed to do this, but it's done now, so she can't get caught. So she managed to sneak into the side of the pen that I was in. She managed to get into like the pathway, and we were holding hands through the fence. Because her one thing was like, I just have to be there with you for the beginning of the race. And she managed to find me. She had a big balloon, and I was wearing pink with my little buns. So she found me, and it was like a perfect timing. We were holding hands. We sang the national anthem, Chariots of Fire. We did all of that. And then, I got goosebumps. And then just that starting, when you're like, okay, wow, this is it. I'm going, and I don't know what is coming. I don't know what's ahead of me, but I'm here and I've made it. And let's just take the day as it comes.
Yeah, that start is something truly special. What would you, if you could go back and do it all over, this first one, what would you do differently? What would you change?
Genuinely nothing. I mean, in terms of like a training perspective, I wish I had gone to the gym more often, maybe to benefit me there. But there is absolutely nothing. I don't think it was mentally or physically possible to absorb more and to like be in the moment more. I was so present and in the moment and meeting people and chatting. And I mean, I actually got sore on like my temple from smiling so much, and my jaw was sore because I just didn't stop smiling. So I don't think there's one thing I could say I would change. It was the most perfect day.
And then obviously with you are contemplating the up strength training, is that one of the things that you have to tick off and make sure you do more of?
Absolutely. That was the one aspect that I was pathetic at. And I know, especially with an up run, I really need to focus on working on my legs and my glutes, and just, really, I think it would make my race so different if I had done strength training, because obviously the mileage is one thing, but it really helps with when you're in the gym. So yeah, I need to get into the gym.
Yeah, it definitely helps with the recovery post as well. So I know you were talking about toenails and losing toenails. Were there any other after effects you weren't expecting, and how's the body bounce back after Comrades?
The body's really good. So I wasn't as sore as I expected. I still have purple toenails. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know when that's going to, but I mean, apparently ChatGPT says that it can last up to 6 months. So I'm okay. So yeah, they're still purple. My big toes are still purple. And then I've still got a niggle in my glute, but I'm working on that. The one thing that I didn't think of that was the most painful was the chafe on my back. I had Vaseline everywhere. And I didn't feel like I was chafing on the day. And then I got home and I had my back was raw. I've still got scars on my back from the chafe. So that was just awful.
Yeah, comrades, you will chafe in places you did not know you had places. That is
Yep,
for
exactly.
sure. And tell me a little bit about outside of Comrades and outside of running. Like you mentioned, forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone and jumping out of airplanes. I was going to ask, was the airplane burning? Because that's the only way I'm getting to jump out of an airplane is if it's on fire. But tell me a little bit about that. Why do you do that sort of stuff? And what's the drive behind it? And what else do you? Not that you want to do, because often I think getting out of your comfort zone is not something you want to do. But what else have you got planned?
So the jumping out of an airplane thing was so because I work with East Coast Radio, I get the most amazing opportunities to meet people, and there's always opportunities to so it was for the Shongweni Polo Cross tournament that was happening, and they wanted. So the original idea was the guy who organized the event wanted someone to skydive with the trophy and then kind of bring it onto the podium. Obviously, I'd never done any skydiving or I'm inexperienced, so the whole trophy thing wasn't going to work. But it was basically just to do this grand appearance at the Polo Cross tournament. And East Coast Radio phoned me and they said, "You only live once." And yeah, I think that's my biggest thing in life is you don't know when your time on earth is going to be over. So just whatever comes your way, take it with both hands and make the most of it.
Absolutely. And from a running perspective, what else is on the bucket list? Now that the bug is bitten, now that you are a fully fledged member of this cult?
So next on the list is the Upper Highway Trail Marathon in December. I got roped into that. So I need to start training some trails. And then we'll see. I think from January I'll make a call if I'm committing to 2026. I wouldn't mind having a child next year. So if I'm pregnant, obviously that will get pushed to the side. But if not, then I'm training. I'm going ahead and Comrades 2026. But for now, Upper Highway Trail in December, and then I would like to do some shorter distances, some 10s and 21s, just to enjoy it for the sake of running.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Shaina-Rae Bauwens, thank you so much for your time today here on Up. Congratulations on your maiden Comrades journey, and we look forward to following your progress to the Up. If people want to find out more about you or get in contact, what's the best way to do that? Well, unfortunately, it looks like we have just lost Shaina-Rae Bauwens, but no biggie. I will get those links and pop them into the description. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here on Up, and we look forward to catching you again next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye.